Well, hello there. Welcome back to the channel. My name is James, and here at 20th and 21st Movies, we are about all things cinema. Well, I am excited to bring our Taste of Directors series back for 2022. This is the first edition of our Taste of Directors series here in January of 2022. So I'm really excited to bring this series back. We took a break in December of 2021. Now we're back in 2022, and I'm really excited to talk today about director Billy Wilder in this installment of our Taste of Directors series. Now, one thing we did last year is we gathered some feedback from this community of what are some directors that you want to see featured in future and upcoming Taste of Directors series videos. So I've put together a long list based on your feedback of ideas and directors. And I got to tell you, I am really excited about the entries that we're going to have this year in this series. You guys have provided some great feedback and great comments on directors and filmmakers that you would like to see spotlighted in this series. So today the spotlight turns to writer, producer, director Billy Wilder. He was one of the most influential figures in Hollywood many years ago, and I am so excited to talk today about some of the films from this great director. But for the benefit of those of you who are not familiar with the Taste of Directors series on this channel, we have on this channel a series called Taste of Directors series. So what we do is we like to take the spotlight and put it on a specific director in each of these videos, and we'll choose 3 to 4 films from her or his filmography to just give a taste of what that director has to offer. Now, I know that choosing 3 or 4 films isn't going to give you the full depth and breadth of what a particular filmmaker has done in the film business, especially if they've directed 30 or 40 films or more. 3 or 4 films, it's not going to give you the full breadth of what that director has done. But the purpose of this series is not to give you the full breadth of what the director has done in their career, but just to give you a taste, giving you an idea of some of the great films that they have created in their career that may inspire you to watch some of the films from that director if you haven't discovered them yet. So that's why we call it a Taste of Directors series. So in this video, we're going to turn the spotlight to producer, screenwriter, director Billy Wilder. And at the end of this video, so you'll want to stay tuned to the end of this video, because I'm going to share with you the directors that we have lined up to turn the spotlight on for February, March, and April based on your feedback. So I put a feedback poll on the community post a few weeks back on what directors would you like to see spotlighted coming up. And I gave you a list of directors potentially to choose from. And based on that poll, I'm going to share the results of the directors we're going to be spotlighting in February, March, and April. So stay tuned for that. So without any further ado, let's jump right into this Taste of Billy Wilder film. So let's talk a little bit about producer, screenwriter, director Billy Wilder. So famed producer, screenwriter, and director Billy Wilder was born in Sucha Beskidzha, Poland in June of 1906 to Eugenia and Max Wilder. Wilder began his career writing crime and sports stories for newspapers before getting into the film industry. And he cut his teeth writing screenplays while living in Berlin in the 1930s and then moving to Paris due to the rise of the Nazi Party. He received his first Academy Award nomination for Best Director for Double Indemnity in 1994. So in all, Wilder received 8 Academy Award nominations for Best Director, and he won twice. He won once for The Lost Weekend in 1945 and for The Apartment in 1960. And he also won Best Writing Oscar awards for Sunset Boulevard and The Apartment. So an incredibly decorated writer and director. Billy Wilder is one of the greats of all time, and I absolutely love his films. I have not seen a film from Billy Wilder that I did not love, not just like, but absolutely love. So if you haven't seen any of Wilder's films, I'm going to share 4 of them today in this video. And I definitely encourage you to check them out in any order because they are all supremely excellent. All right, so let me talk for a minute about Billy Wilder's style of filmmaking. The best way I can describe Billy Wilder as a director, as a filmmaker, is I have never seen a Billy Wilder film that was poorly written. Okay, Billy Wilder's films are always extremely well written. I think he wrote almost all his films. He didn't just direct; he wrote and directed his films. And I don't know of any examples of any badly written or poorly written Billy Wilder films. The writing in Billy Wilder films is always top notch. The writing is excellent. The stories are extremely well written. The dialogue is phenomenal. The acting performances that he's able to pull out of his actors, he's well known for pulling great performances out of his actors. In fact, he directed 27 films in his career, I think 27 feature films. And I believe in those films, he worked with 14 different actors that were nominated for Acting Academy Awards for their performances in this film. So he was a master storyteller, master writer, and he was excellent at working with actors to get great performances out of them. And that's really the mark of Billy Wilder films, based on what I've seen in his filmography and what I've heard other people say about his films. And he also holds a significant place in cinematic history and Hollywood history for the way that his films push the boundaries of censorship and what is considered acceptable to put into film. So that's another aspect of Billy Wilder's films to keep in mind. All right, so with that as a little backdrop on Billy Wilder, a little bit of background about the director, I'm going to talk about 4 films from his filmography that you might want to keep in mind. If you've never seen a Billy Wilder film, here are 4 film recommendations that you might want to consider as a starting point to learning more about Billy Wilder. So these are the 4 films I'm going to talk about. 3 of them I have in my physical media collection. The other film I'm really excited about in the broader scope of my excitement of 2022 with physical media, because there's a new 4K release of this 4th title I'm going to talk about in just a second here. But the first 3 titles are Double Indemnity from 1944. This is the film starring Fred MacMurray and Barbara Stanwyck. I'm going to talk about Sunset Boulevard from 1950. This stars William Holden and Gloria Swanson. And I'm going to talk about 1959 Some Like It Hot, which is an amazing film starring Tony Curtis, Jack Lemmon, and Marilyn Monroe. And the 4th film I'm going to talk about is from 1960, starring Jack Lemmon, Shirley MacLaine, and Fred MacMurray, and it's The Apartment. And I am so excited about the upcoming 4K Ultra HD release from Kino Lorber. I think it's coming out March the 5th. I'll put the date on the screen here, but I am absolutely stoked to get that title on 4K Ultra HD. And I am absolutely loving the lineup that Kino Lorber is bringing us this year in 4K titles. Touch of Evil is coming out on 4K Ultra HD. I'm looking forward to that. This fantastic Orson Welles film with Charlton Heston and Janet Leigh. This is coming out, I believe, in February on 4K Ultra HD. So looking forward to that. And I'm looking forward to The Apartment from 1960 coming out on 4K Ultra HD from Billy Wilder. So let's get started talking about this film, Double Indemnity. This is the 70th anniversary of this film that came out in 1944. And this is a film that stars Fred MacMurray, Barbara Stanwyck, and Edward G. Robinson. And this is an absolutely wonderful film. It's beautifully written. This is a noir film from 1944. And this is a film that basically is a cornerstone film in the film noir movement. So when you think about noir films, Double Indemnity is one of those early films that started this genre. And it's a great story that basically centers around Fred MacMurray. He stars as Walter Neff. He's an insurance agent, and he gets pulled into a web, a tricky web, with this woman here, Barbara Stanwyck's character. She plays a woman named Phyllis Dietrichson, and she is basically tired of her husband, and she wants to have her husband murdered, and she beguiles this insurance salesman, Walter Neff, to come into this murder plot with her. So she seduces him to help her kill her husband, essentially. And this whole story is around the idea of how do they get away with the perfect murder. They plan the perfect murder. Of course, it's called Double Indemnity because he's an insurance agent and he knows about insurance policies having a double indemnity clause, which basically says that if a person dies by a certain type of accident, that doubles the death benefit to the beneficiary. So Walter Neff and Phyllis Dietrichson try to plan the perfect murder. And of course, we always know how these stories typically end up. There is no such thing as a perfect crime, but it is so fun to see how this story unfolds throughout the runtime of this film. And it's an example of the master writing at play from Billy Wilder in this absolutely extraordinary film. And this is one of those films that I know that Touch of Evil, this is coming out. This is a similar packaging here from, and I think this is Universal, I want to say. I think it's Universal. But anyway, yeah, it is Universal, excuse me. From Universal, I love this packaging that they put out, I think in 2014. This is getting a 4K Ultra HD release from Kino Lorber. I would absolutely love to see Double Indemnity get a 4K release, but this is an absolutely extraordinary film from Billy Wilder from 1944. It basically was the birth of the film noir movement. It is an American movie classic, and I cannot recommend it enough. The packaging is wonderful for this release. This release includes some wonderful like movie cards, the alternate ending. You see these scenes from the film. Does a really, really nice job here, just showing you certain aspects. Here's a poster, just great, good stuff. I absolutely love Double Indemnity. It is one of my favorite films from Billy Wilder, and it's a classic example of masterclass writing at work. If you want to know how to write a screenplay, watch Double Indemnity. So the next film that I will feature here in our Taste of Director series for Billy Wilder, we're just flying loose here. We're just kind of taking it easy here. It's our first entry of the year, and we're talking about a director that should be easy to talk about. So let's just roll with it here. So we got Sunset Boulevard. This is a film from 1950. This stars Gloria Swanson, William Holden, and Erich von Stroheim. And this is an amazing film. This film is from 1950, and this is another example of master writing at work from Billy Wilder. This is probably one of the greatest films that's ever been made. I think it was on my potential greatest film ever video that I did recently on this channel. And this is one of the best examples that I can share with anyone on. I always love a movie that shows the process of making movies. And this is one of the best films that there is in existence to this day about the movie industry, about the process of making movies, and the behind the scenes life of the movie business and the goings on behind the scenes in terms of how executives make decisions about stories that's pitched to them, about the plight of aging actors trying to stay relevant in the industry. And in the case of Gloria Swanson's character, how the lengths that she will go to revive her career. She was a silent film star back in the silent film era. Of course, when the talkies came, that basically pushed her to the side, and she's fighting to regain her career. And so she basically pulls in William Holden's character into her web. He's a struggling screenwriter in Hollywood trying to make it. He's from Ohio. He moved to Hollywood to be a screenwriter to try to break into that business. And he's struggling. He's trying to make it, trying to make ends meet. He ends up on a chance encounter with Gloria Swanson's character in this film, Norma Desmond, and she convinces him to try to write a screenplay that will revive her career. So this story is a tragic, tragic tale of what happens to people when their best years are gone and they struggle to recapture that. They struggle to recapture their relevance and importance in the industry that they've worked so hard to build a career in. So this is an amazing story. It's extremely well written by Billy Wilder, and it's one that I just recommend that you experience for yourself. I'm not going to spoil any of it in terms of what happens throughout the course of this story. This is something you need to experience for yourself because it is an excellent illustration of Hollywood. And even though this film is from 1950, so this film is 70 years old, what you will see in this movie is Hollywood today. It is the way that things still work today, and it is a timeless classic from timeless director Billy Wilder, Sunset Boulevard from 1950. The next film that I will talk about here is a really fun film. It's in the Criterion Collection. It comes in at spy number 950. And this is a film starring Tony Curtis, Jack Lemmon, and Marilyn Monroe. And it is Some Like It Hot. This is a film from Billy Wilder. This is just a great film. This is a fun film. It's a romantic comedy film. This is the type of film that you want to if you want to just watch a funny film that you can just kick back and just enjoy and get some good laughs out of, that's well written, great script, great acting, and just fun performances, put in Some Like It Hot. This is a wonderful film from Billy Wilder. I love the packaging of this edition here. You get some nice artwork on the inside here. Of course, you got Jack Lemmon and Tony Curtis. If I can open this, excuse me. Some Like It Hot, that's pretty nice. And of course, on the fold out, you get Marilyn Monroe here. And then you get Jack Lemmon. Wait, that's Jack Lemmon, right? Or is it Tony Curtis? I don't know. I'm getting mixed up. You get one of them with Marilyn Monroe here. I think that may be Jack Lemmon's character. But this is just a phenomenal film. And what this film, Some Like It Hot, is about is you got Tony Curtis. He's a saxophone player. And he and his friend, played by Jack Lemmon, they witness a mafia murder, a mafia hit. And so they witness this murder, and because they witnessed the murder, that puts their life in jeopardy. So they try to escape town, and in order to stay undercover, they end up disguising as women in a female traveling band that's on their way to Florida. So they're on a train on their way to Florida, and they disguise as women. So they dress in drag, and they play in this band with Marilyn Monroe, who's a ukulele player, and she's the vocalist of this band. And that's really what it's all about. And so there's a romantic comedy element to it. And it's just a really fun romp of a film that's extremely well written by writer Billy Wilder. And this is an excellent addition from Criterion. And it comes in at 121 minutes. You get some nice features on here. This is a 4K digital restoration. Looks great on Blu-ray with this 4K restoration. You do get a few nice features on here, including an audio commentary. And this is, if you're looking for a nice addition from Criterion to pick up on the next flash sale, and you like Billy Wilder, or you want to discover his filmography, this is a great one to consider picking up. Some Like It Hot. So I definitely recommend that one. And this is up here, we have Ace in the Hole, the menu for Ace in the Hole, which is another Criterion Collection edition of a Billy Wilder film starring Kirk Douglas. This is a phenomenal film. It's not one that I'm featuring in this Taste of Directors series, but it's one that you might want to strongly consider. It's a great film. And then the last film, the fourth film that I'll talk about in this Taste of Directors series for director Billy Wilder, is 1960's The Apartment. This is the film starring Jack Lemmon, Shirley MacLaine, and Fred MacMurray. And I am really excited about this film coming to 4K Ultra HD later this year. Actually, not too far from now. I think it's March the 5th. I'll put the date on the screen if I got that wrong, but I think it's coming out from Kino Lorber on 4K Ultra HD on March the 5th. And this is an absolutely phenomenal film. It's basically about Jack Lemmon plays, insurance worker CC Baxter. And CC Baxter lives in an apartment, and he basically lends his apartment out to some higher ups in his insurance company who use the apartment for their extramarital affairs. So he basically keeps a book and he schedules out who's got the apartment which night. And of course, with all the comings and goings in and out of his apartment, his neighbors, CC Baxter's neighbors, think he's a playboy. So it's a funny film. It's an interesting film. It's a romantic comedy film. And it's just a really beautifully written romantic comedy drama type film from Billy Wilder. You've got Jack Lemmon playing CC Baxter. You've also got Fred MacMurray in here, who's playing a character called Sheldrake. So he plays Sheldrake. He's an upper level boss that Jack Lemmon ends up working for in this film. And Sheldrake also wants the key to the apartment. So he has to work with Sheldrake and let him have the key to the apartment as well. And then another key character in this film is played by Shirley MacLaine. She plays Fran Kubelik. So she's an elevator operator in the insurance building that they work in. And basically the triad between the three of them, Shirley MacLaine, Jack Lemmon, and Fred McMurray, and their relationship with each other throughout this story is the dramatic drive of this film. It's the core narrative of this film. Now, I don't want to spoil it any more beyond that because there's some twists and turns to the story that's brilliantly presented by Billy Wilder that I don't want to spoil, but it's just a really well written, well made, and well presented film. And it's the reason why Billy Wilder won the Academy Award for Best Director and Best Writing for this film, The Apartment. It's a phenomenal film, and I am really looking forward to getting that 4K Ultra HD. And I really need to look at the features to see what kind of features they have on that disc. But let me know in the comments below if you're excited about the upcoming release of The Apartment on 4K Ultra HD. So there you have it. Those are the 4 films that I wanted to bring to your attention for this Taste of Director series for Billy Wilder. Of course, Double Indemnity, highly, highly recommended. This is a great, great film. I love seeing Fred McMurray play these types of characters that he plays in Double Indemnity and The Apartment. It's so funny seeing him and thinking about this is the actor who played in My Three Sons, but he also played in these type of roles where he's, conniving, he's scheming, he's up to no good, low down. I love seeing him in these type of roles. So Double Indemnity's a good film. Sunset Boulevard, an outstanding film that is about the movie business and one of the best films that there is about the making of movies. This also has Cecil B. DeMille in this movie. This is an amazing film. If you have not seen Sunset Boulevard, check it out. Some Like It Hot is a great Criterion Collection edition that's out there, Spy number 950. Definitely consider picking this up on the next flash sale. If you haven't picked this one up, this is a great film from Billy Wilder. And of course, The Apartment coming out on 4K Ultra HD from Kino Lorber. So there you have it. Those are the 4 films that I'm featuring in this Taste of Director series of Billy Wilder. Let me know in the comments below what you think about those films and what are some other films from Billy Wilder that are among your favorites from his filmography. Would Ace in the Hole be one of your favorites from Billy Wilder? What are some other films from Billy Wilder that you would recommend folks watch to get a taste of his filmography? Let us know that in the comments below. Now, as I said at the top of this video, I did say that I'm going to share with you the directors that we're going to spotlight in the upcoming months here. So based on the poll that I put out on my community post, these are the directors we're doing in the next few months. So in February, we're going to feature the director of The French Dispatch, Wes Anderson. I did a review of The French Dispatch on this channel. It was the first video that came out this year. So if you haven't checked out my review of The French Dispatch, go check that out on the channel. But in February, we're going to do a Taste of Director series entry for Wes Anderson. In March, we'll do a Taste of Director series entry for the master filmmaker, the director of this film here, Touch of Evil, Orson Welles, one of the great filmmakers, directors, artisans of all time. Orson Welles will be our spotlight director in March. And then in April, we're going to turn the spotlight to famous director Ridley Scott. So we're going to talk about Ridley Scott in our April Taste of Director series video. So those are the features we have coming up in the months of February with Wes Anderson, the month of March with Orson Welles, and April, we're going to talk about Ridley Scott. So let me know in the comments below, what do you think about these directors? What do you think about some of the favorite films that you've seen from those directors? And what are some upcoming titles that you are most looking forward to that are coming out in 2022? This is one of the most exciting years of physical media that I can remember. And I am so excited about some of the titles coming out, including The Apartment from 1960 on 4K. What are some titles that you are excited about that are coming out this year? Let us know that in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time at the movies. Peace.